Hello, everyone. My name is Courtney Pollock, and I'm the Marketing Coordinator for SWK Technologies. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, 6 Business Challenges Solved by Analytics, presented by DataSelf, Joni Giardi, and Don Farber. A little housekeeping before we get started. Everyone has been placed on mute to keep the background noise to a minimum. However, you can submit any questions you have at any time throughout the webinar. If you'd like to submit a question, look for the question section in your GoToWebinar or look for the chat box, and we will answer all your questions at the end of the presentation. We're also recording this presentation, and it will be distributed tomorrow afternoon to all attendees, as well as those who registered but were unable to attend. And finally, we'd appreciate your participation throughout the webinar, asking any questions you have, and we'll be happy to answer them at the end. With that said, we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to attend this webinar, and we're here to help you get the most out of your software solutions. We want to help you find an easier way to run your business by providing you tools, support, software, and industry knowledge whenever you need it. We've invited DataSelf here today because they are business intelligence experts. So whether you're just researching a new solution or you're here to learn, we'd like to encourage you to ask questions that you have. Lastly, as a quick reminder, SWK is constantly sharing important updates and software tips and tricks on our social media channels. We encourage you to follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channels where we have other recorded webinars like this. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to Don and Joni.
Thanks very much, Courtney, and good day, everyone. Thanks very much for spending some time with us today to talk about the 6 business challenges solved by analytics. So let's get right to it. What are those 6 challenges? Well, we're going to talk about how analytics enables departments within an organization to see what's happening in their business right now, whether it's sales, service, inventory, finances, etc. Challenge number 2, bad debt write-offs, accounts receivable, and unacceptably high DSO for days sales outstanding. Challenge number 3, simply put, running out of stock. Number 4, sales reps who aren't selling, or perhaps aren't selling as well as they could be. The 5th challenge, an unpredictable cash flow, one of the most challenging of all of these problems or potential problems that organizations have to face today. And finally, not knowing where you and your business stand financially and otherwise this year or this month or today versus last year, last month, a year ago, the same month, etc. So those are the 6 business challenges that we're going to talk about how analytics can address them. Okay. So before we do so, I do want to review one key point, and that is, although we're going to talk about the business challenges today, I think it's very important that we quickly review some of the technical challenges, because we're talking specifically about business intelligence and analytics today. And I wish to draw a very defining line between BI and analytics software versus the standard reports that you get with your ERP application, whether that application is Sage 100, 300, 500, X3, Acumatica, etc. So very quickly, I'd like to list for you the 10 key differences between analytics or BI software, such as we're going to show you today, and the standard reports that come with an ERP solution, starting with the ability for analytics to enable you to drill down. That is, once you see certain information on a report or a dashboard, your ability to say, show me more. Beyond that, lovely term, slice and dice. Again, your ability to look at a report and see information that interests you and want to go off on a tangent. You might see today's sales numbers and then see a certain sales rep who's doing particularly well, and you want to drill down or slice and dice into that particular sales rep's activities today, this week, this month, etc. The ability to view your business data from different perspectives. For example, you might have a report or dashboard that shows you sales information, perhaps by revenues. Well, that's good, but you'd also like to see it perhaps by gross profit or by cost of goods sold. With analytical software, you have the ability to look at those different perspectives all from within a single report or dashboard. Of course, the ability to represent your data visually via bar charts, line charts, pie charts, etc. You'll see that in today's demo. To me, one of the best distinguishing features of analytics software is the ability to say, what if? What if my sales were to increase by 10, 15, or 20%? How would that affect my revenue? Do I have the inventory to support it, etc.? And kind of with that concept of what if is the ability to look into the future. Standard reports typically look at what has happened, and analytics and BI software looks at what has happened and uses that to generate projections, the ability for you to say what may happen or what will happen at some point down the road. One of the features of analytics that we'll be showing you today is the ability to use plain English to ask for the insight that you want. And that is awfully nice. The ability for you to use a Google search-like technology to simply say to BI software, I'd like to see sales this year, perhaps sorted by salesperson, and then add additional criteria, but to be able to make that request using plain English. The ability to create your own report without asking for help from someone down in IT. The ability to analyze conditions between multiple applications or sources. Sure, today we're talking about analytics with your ERP application, but chances are your entire business doesn't run just on that ERP solution. You've got perhaps CRM, maybe a human resources application, a quote management application. Analytics has the unique ability to look at conditions between those multiple apps. And finally, if you've ever been bedeviled by running a report and having to wait hours, sometimes overnight, in order to get the results that you want, that's a key aspect of analytics. It gives you the information that you're asking for right now. All right, so now let's change our tact a little bit and talk about the 6 business challenges specifically addressed through analytics solutions like DataSelf. Starting with the ability for analytics to give you right now visibility. And we just alluded to that. With other reporting applications, you might want to or need to run a report and then have to wait hours or perhaps overnight. And it is absolutely essential for you to have the ability to go to a report or dashboard and basically say, show me what's happening right now. And that's not just right now for your sales organization, but for each of your individual departments. Show me what's happening in sales, in finance, down in inventory. Show me the status of my current day's shipments, etc. So we have an example here called the Daily Flash, which in this case, we're getting a sales right now, allowing you to see up to the minute what is happening for and within your organization. Okay.
Don, let me just give a little observation about this. And by the way, this is Johnny Girardi. I'm the company's founder. And the Daily Flash to me is one of the most important things that many of our clients say, that before DataSelf, they were flying blind. You know, they will get to know threats and opportunities sometimes days, weeks, and sometimes even months after it happened. And it was too late to make any action. You know, if you know something bad happened 2 months ago, too bad, you cannot fix anymore. In many of these clients, they say that now with DataSelf, they can pretty much see great things and bad things as they happen, and they can act right away to take advantage of the good things or try to fix the bad things. So to me, the Daily Flash, even though, as you mentioned, is covering sales, the main goal is every main decision maker in an organization with DataSelf, they'll have their own Daily Flash to look at the KPIs they care, to be on top of those threats and opportunities. So it's a very important concept that analytics provides. In usually traditional reporting doesn't, because it doesn't bring all the data together.
Thanks, Johnny. I appreciate the added insight there. And I think the very last thing you said is key. You used the terms bring all of the information together. And I think that's really key for analytics, in that analytics is pulling data together from all the different aspects of ERP and those other applications that are related to ERP. So it is truly an enterprise-wide visibility into what's happening right now. And my personal favorite pet phrase on this is to ask folks, in your daily business activities, have you ever felt like saying, if only we had known? If only we had known that this was happening within our business, we could have done something about it. And that's exactly what this particular dashboard and this concept addresses. Okay, let's go to that second business challenge, writing off bad debt. Without a doubt, the most or I should say the least favorite activity of CFOs within an organization. And in fact, ask yourself right now, do you know who your highest risk debt customers are? Do you know what percentage of your receivables are over 30 days versus over 60, 90, or 120 days old? How much money could you have saved if you had been able to prevent just one bad debt write-off within the last 3, 6, 9, or 12 months of doing business? Again, the dashboard that we're looking at here is an AR Debt Global Console. And what I like about this, and we can take a look at the different aspects of this dashboard, is that all of the data that you see within it can be sliced into, can be drilled down. So I want to see my salesperson who's having perhaps the biggest challenge collecting bad debt. We can even identify the particular regions within where we're having the greatest challenge in terms of making collections. And I think perhaps best of all about this use of analytics is that it is proven to help an organization reduce DSO. And if you're not currently tracking DSO, I really encourage you to do so. It stands for Days Sales Outstanding. And the more that you can reduce that number, the more revenue your organization will have to build business in the future.
And Don, just make also a comment about this on the receivable side. Many of our clients also use the analytics to combine what's in receivables, meaning you expected inbound money coming from open receivables, but you're expecting also to close some sales that you expect to be paid, let's say, on delivery. I mean, when you issue the sales order or the invoice, and sometimes when you're trying to predict the cash flow, which Don is going to be talking later, but combining the open receivables plus the expected sales order closing for the next couple of weeks or months, you can have a projection of how much your sales are going to be this month. And many people do this in Excel. Every day they export the receivables, they export the sales order, they try to come up with the numbers, and it's a waste of time. Intelligent people should be making decisions out of information, not spending time crunching data in Excel. And DataSelf can do that manual, automated process, completely automated, so people can focus on the intelligent part, not the data crunch part.
Johnny, I love that expression of yours. I have to say, I really do. You could be spending your time, the business people within an organization, crunching numbers, trying to get to these results, or you could have these results automatically generated and delivered and visible and allow people to spend their time using this information to make the appropriate business decision. So I think that's a tremendous story to tell. All right. As I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite aspects of analytics, and to me, one of the really distinguishing traits of BI technologies is its ability to forecast, to look in the future. Because really, when you think about reports and dashboards today, they're all showing us what has happened. And that's good to know. We certainly all need that for our business. But the ideal position is to be able to leverage the details of what has happened to project what could happen, what might happen, what will happen in the future. And I think there's no better example of that than using BI technologies to forecast potential out of stock situations. And in the particular spreadsheet report that you see down on the right-hand side of the current window, you'll see a bunch of numbers that are in red. These are showing you projected shortages of stock. And any organization that keeps inventory knows this is what you want to avoid, this is what you want to prevent, this is what you want to be able to anticipate, and then perhaps adjust purchase orders or take other such actions to address these situations, these potential problems, and prevent them from becoming actual problems. Johnny, I'm going to turn the discussion to you here.
Well, you covered really well, Don. To me, just from a technical standpoint, companies that do inventory projection manually in Excel is usually a nightmare. It's very time consuming, it's error prone. Sometimes Excel cannot handle the amount of data you have, and you got to pull, quantity on hand, open purchase order, open sales order, sales projection. It's a lot of work. Again, going back to the let a solution like DataSelf do the data crunching, bringing all the data together, all the calculations, and you can use humans to see what they need to make a decision, what the exceptions are. So inventory projection is, if you're doing today, and you're spending quite a bit of time manually, absolutely should look at DataSelf and see if we can make this process significantly more automated.
Thanks, Johnny. And again, I'm going to piggyback on something that you said, and I'd like to point out right up at the top of this particular report, you'll notice that it says inventory on hand today, plus inbound items from open purchase orders, minus, and there's a calculation up there. And that's one of the very important things I like to stress about BI and analytics from DataSelf, which is we allow you to customize these calculations. This is a pretty standard one for deriving potential out-of-stock situations, but your particular business is going to have your specific considerations. So we give you this formula, but we allow you to adjust it and adapt it to your particular business needs. All right, let's move on to talk about helping your sales reps sell. What you've probably noticed by looking at a number of these dashboards from DataSelf is that they tend to provide both high level or macro views of what's happening within your business. Here we can see up at the top left a listing of sales reps and how they're doing relative to their quota. And over on the top right, we can look at particular regions within the country that are selling better than others. And then down beneath each of those, we start to get down towards a more micro level. And in fact, each of these items that you see on the bottom of this particular dashboard, they are clickable. You can drill down into individual customers, sales reps, or products. But to me, what's really great about this is that without analytics, typically you don't find out about a sales rep who's having certain issues, maybe in certain regions or with certain products, until months later. And by that time, you've already lost the opportunity to help that sales rep. You've lost a number of months of potential sales. So with analytics, it gives you that head start on identifying those reps, those regions, those products, those customers who are doing better than usual or perhaps not quite as well. And to me, chief among that is to empower your sales organization to really work better as a team. And what I mean by that, if we take a look at the bottom left of this slide, by using analytics like these, it helps you load balance opportunities amongst your sales team. If certain sales reps are doing better selling certain products than other sales reps selling the same products, let's have those sales reps talk to each other. Let's have them share their secrets, and let's leverage the expertise within your sales organization. Once again, Johnny, over to you.
Thank you, Don. Yeah, to me, sales, it's a very interesting area. Salespeople, usually they are people. And usually you have in your sales team a small number of extremely successful salespeople, and you have the rest. It's usually, we have like, a few that represent a big chunk of your sales. And one of the challenges sometimes is how can you transfer some of the knowledge, some of the expertise of the top salespeople to the rest of the people? It's a human problem. How can you do that, right? And we have many organizations, many of our clients that they actually used reports as a way for others, for a business analyst or someone that is not in the sales team to look at the numbers, to see the trends, and then have the time to talk with the top performers and then communicate to the others some tricks that otherwise would be hard to get out of the top salespeople. It's not that they're hiding information, they're just freaking busy, they're successful. So sometimes reporting is a means for an organization to sift through all the numbers to find out why a few people are so successful, maybe in a certain time of the year or not. And by knowing those data points, communicate to the others what they might be missing to be much more successful. So reporting is amazing how much gems you can get out of your data sometimes that otherwise would be hard by just talking with people because people are usually super busy and sometimes it's hard to get to the facts.
Perfect. Thanks, Johnny. I think perhaps of all of these 6 challenges faced by organizations today, my vote is to put this one up at the very top of the list, an unpredictable cash flow. Because simply put, if you don't know what's coming in, what's going to be coming in, what's going to be going out, you're not best able to grow your business. And so being able to dynamically look at your cash flow, to have it instantly available, one click away, and be able to look at those charts. In this case, a nice looking bar chart showing me trends. I can go, okay, it looks like we're going to have enough money to invest in this, or perhaps, well, over the next quarter, maybe the next 2 quarters, we need to tighten our belts a little bit. Johnny, I know this is one of your favorites as well.
Yeah, and some of the interesting stories around cash flow projection is something also very human, a very human problem. Usually cash flow projection is a problem of the CFO, right? Hey, CFO, you have all of these numbers in your ERP system, and if we're gonna have short of cash, just go for the freaking bank and ask for more money. Let's increase the line of credit. And that's usually what happens. You wanna have a big line of credit to weather sometimes things you don't predict. Now, the funny thing sometimes when we talk about cash flow projection, people say, yeah, we always thought about it. At the end of the day, we have a good, relationship with our bank. We kind of do it, but we don't. We kind of, just, kind of wing it using the additional line of credit. Now, those companies that actually decide to do it right, let's just, do cash flow projection. Let's plug the numbers. Let's bring the expected payroll, the expected AR, the expected AP, ongoing inbound money, ongoing payables for loans and whatnot. When you have a good understanding of your cash flow projection, what happens is quite often the CFO start to ask questions to other departments. Why this is happening, why this number is going up or down, and it no longer become a purely financial exercise of the CFO resolving cash flow issues with the bank. No, it starts talking with the rest of the organization, and sometimes there are issues in the company, maybe in sales, maybe in shipping, that is causing problems with the cash flow, but if you don't know what they are, why they're happening, it becomes just a problem with the bank. So to me, the cash flow projection actually opens a whole door for the CFO to be in more close contact with the rest of the operation to be sure that everyone is aligned with problems that are causing the company additional overhead and interest and whatnot. So to me, the cash flow projection is an amazing door because it goes way beyond the financial problem. It's a way to bring CFO more in contact with the other departments to help the company be more efficient across the board.
And Johnny, I think it's safe to say that kind of hand in hand with getting a firm grasp of one's cash flow is also simply knowing where your business stands. And what I mean by that is, how are we doing today versus yesterday, versus last week, last month, versus same time period last year. So I think that's really hand in hand with cash flow, is knowing basically how we're doing, today or a current period versus something in the past. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And in this particular dashboard that you're showing, this one that we call the year-over-year variance, it's part of out of the box. We have this dashboard for, I think it's 8 years as part of our framework. And last year, we did a survey to see of the DataSelf canned, out of the box reports and dashboards, which ones were the most popular, the top 10. And this was the number one. The most popular dashboard used by DataSelf clients is this one. So if you're a sales-driven organization, if you care about what's happening with sales of your customers, products, services, territories, up and down, and you're usually looking this period, last period, same to last year, this dashboard should be very, very valuable to your sales team to be on top of what's happening and where you stand.
And what I particularly love about this dashboard, Johnny, is the fact that it follows that macro to micro approach that every good dashboard should. That is, up at the top, it's giving you really that highest level view of how are we doing this year versus last. Then you go down just to that middle tier on the left-hand side, sales by period, so we can see where things start to vary. Below that, regional sales. And then finally, over on the right-hand side, we can drill down by customer, we can drill down by item. You can, from this one dashboard, actually get into the individual invoices for particular customers to see how their sales have varied. I love that kind of top to the bottom approach, all encompassed within a single dashboard. Okay. So you've got an idea for some of these business benefits. Let's now talk about how DataSelf Analytics works. Now, we tend to use the analogy of your business as a house. And within that house, the insight that you need to get about your business is actually the water that is provided from the faucets within the house. Now, before you can get water out of your faucets, you have to set up the plumbing. You have to somehow get the water from the well into your house. You have to set up all of the pipes, and eventually you get water out of your faucets, and all that plumbing is hidden. Although it's hidden, it's awfully important to have it. Now, with BI technologies, what is needed is the optimization of your ERP data, because as you well know, there's a huge amount of data in your ERP solution, from inventory and sales and financials and vendors, and the list goes on. Hundreds, if not thousands of tables of data, information from multiple aspects of your ERP. With DataSelf, we provide a unique technology called ETL+. ETL stands for Extract, Transform, and Load. And what ETL+ does is it optimizes the retrieval and analysis from of the information in your ERP system. A lot of folks think that you can just take a BI solution and just kind of plunk it on top of your ERP solution, and presto, you've got insight. That's not the case. And in fact, this is very often the point of failure of a lot of BI initiatives, in that it often will take some organizations weeks, if not months, to actually set up the plumbing. And with DataSelf Analytics, and courtesy of ETL+, that plumbing is done for you automatically. And in the illustration we're looking at right now, we really talk about the plumbing being a combination of the ETL, extract, transform, and load process, pulling the data out of your ERP solution and populating it within a Microsoft SQL Server data warehouse, all done automatically for you. And so typically within 24 hours, not 24 days, not 24 weeks, within 24 hours, one day, you've got DataSelf implemented, up and running, and providing insight about your business. Okay. Second aspect, the faucets, actually getting the water or business insight out of those pipes. So the faucets are really equated to the BI engine, the BI technology that is used, that enables you to say, this is the insight that I want. I want sales last year versus this year. I want the following information. Well, when it comes to actually retrieving the data, the insight that you want from your ERP solution, you're going to make use of a BI engine. And there are a number of them out there. However, the top two rated BI engines in the market today are Tableau and Microsoft Power BI. DataSelf supports both of them. So, using these top-rated BI technologies, you are automatically empowered to retrieve the precise insight that you want from your business data. And these two technologies have been around for years, and you go to any of the analyst reviews, Gartner or others, and you'll see they consistently take the top two spots in terms of BI technologies. So we give you the choice to use either of those technologies in your analytics environment. And that brings us to the third and final component of the DataSelf solution, and that's the actual water itself. You know, it would be all well and good if we provided you with the DataSelf Analytics tool and said, here you go, start designing the reports and dashboards that you want. Well, if we did so, you'd still be looking at weeks, if not months, of design work, of creating all of those reports and dashboards. Well, we've been in this business for over 15 years. And so we have thousands of reports that we have designed for clients like yourself. And we've put all of those into a vast library, over 8,000 out-of-the-box reports and dashboards. And I guarantee you that most of your top requested reports and dashboards already exist within this library. And that's what enables us to allow you to get up and running within that 24-hour time period. So this is the entire DataSelf analytics solution, from automatically setting up the plumbing to connect DataSelf, your analytics solution, with your underlying ERP and related applications, to using the 2 top-rated BI technologies, and finally being able to choose from this library of thousands of reports and templates. Okay. So,
Don, let me just
go ahead, Johnny. Yes.
Make a note. Go back, please, to the per page. One thing that is fairly common for people when they look at this and they think about their own pain points, reporting pain points, right? And when we were talking with Courtney SWK about the audience at this webinar, and she was mentioning the kind of business, the industries, kind of ERP system that you use, I bet that many of you are here because, first of all, you want better visibility from your systems. Second is probably you're spending a lot of energy right now trying to get some visibility and you're struggling. In this time to get visibility, it's amazing. There's so many companies that spend hours, sometimes days, on an ongoing basis to try to be informed of what's going on. And if you're using humans to do that, is the default. If you have no better options, no better technology, guess what? Hire more people. Get your smart people to put more of their time into crunching data. And do you really want your smart people doing that? Or do you want them to be, just looking at the trends and making more informed decisions? And in a way, this framework that Don was explaining, it's an amazing technology to automate the mechanical part of data analysis. And that means getting the data out of your systems, massage the data, clean the data, prep the data, put the data in a format that is visually inspiring, in charts, or maybe just a grid. It's just an Excel file, doesn't matter what it is. But until you get in front of the person to tell, okay, look at this information and make a decision, all the effort from deciding what you want to see until you see that particular information is usually a lot of work. And many times people don't make informed decisions because it just takes too long to go through that process. And then they wing it, or they postpone decisions. And nowadays, with the way that the world is around, if you don't make informed decisions all the time or as frequent as possible, guess what? Your business is suffering, your clients are suffering, your employees are suffering, your stakeholders are suffering. So when it comes to making informed decisions, don't cut corners. Invest in a technology, invest in a framework that will get your decision makers to the next level. SWK, the company SWK, uses DataSelf as their own internal BI for almost 3 years now. There are other vendors, big ERP vendors that also use DataSelf for their own, BI platform to make better decisions. So if you are struggling with reporting being too slow, too complex, too time-consuming, call us. We've been doing this for a long time. We've been working with Sage and Acumatic and other systems for a long time. Sometimes we can even tell you what you're missing to get better out of your systems. But if you decide to embrace DataSelf as a platform, it will be amazing how much more informed your business will be, how much more effective it will be, and how much better your clients are going to be taken care of, because now you are on top of the threats and opportunities on a daily basis.
Thanks, Johnny. I think that's, at this point, I'm not going to turn this over to you. I'm going to make you the presenter so that you can actually show just how easy and powerful DataSelf is to use. So let me make you the presenter and finish with just one final statement, which is this: don't take our word for it. Try it for yourself. The DataSelf solution is available for free trial, the full function application. And to me, the proof is truly in the pudding here. And Johnny, I'll stop talking now and let you show the DataSelf solution.
All right. Thanks, Don. Can you see my?
Certainly can.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So what I'm showing you here is the DataSelf portal, and there are many ways you can get your users access to the portal. Can be on a web browser, just like I'm showing. Can be on mobile devices. You know, there are you can use a web browser on mobile devices. There are mobile apps in Android and iOS natively that run this portal. You can embed this portal or reports of this portal inside of your own ERP system. If you have, again, Sage 100, Sage 300, X3, Acumatica, no matter what it is possible to embed them inside of your ERP as well. Now, aside from how people are going to be accessing it, the good news is this application is web-based, meaning if you do have internet access, or even if you want to work offline, you can get these dashboards and reports inside of your framework and then analyze data. This, what I'm showing right now, is a typical landing page of a person that has full access to everything. I have access to AR, to inventory, CRM, financials. We could have here payroll. We can have marketing, Google Analytics, Excel sheets, whatever it is can be all part of this portal. Every user will have access to the pieces of the information that they have access to. I'm going to show a few examples that Don covered on the PowerPoint, just to give an idea of the interactivity of the solution. And then I'm going to spend a little bit more time showing how easy it is to also create things from scratch. And I'm going to start first showing the year-over-year variances report, which I mentioned before. Last year was the most popular among our client base. And Don kind of explain how it works. You look at your sales year over year. Right on the right, you can define what the period is that you want to analyze. Right now, I'm looking 2022 periods 1 through 7, and let's say I want to see periods 1 through 9. And so I'm going to pick 2 more periods, press apply. When I press apply, the whole dashboard instantly refreshes with the latest data. So right now I see the total this year, the total last year also through period 9, how much is growing, dollar amount and percentage. So very big picture, the big numbers. I can see things in more detail, by month. The dark blue is this year, the light blue is last year. I can see by ship to, bigger bubbles is bigger sales. Black means is growing since last year to date. Red means is declining. I can see more details, which are the customers, sales last year, this year, and the variance. In the product, same information. Now, this is nice and pretty, but what if, let's say I'm the VP of sales, and I see that this customer has a huge decline in sales since last year? What happened? If I click on this customer specifically, the whole dashboard changes to show me specifically the total for this customer, the trend analysis, what I'm shipping, and what products are driving the sales last year and this year. And this is usually what you don't have out of your ERP system. If you want to find out something more detailed, usually you got to ask for a new report. You got to go to a different page. You got to call a consultant to create a new report. Here I clicked, I filtered, and let's say here are all my sales by product, and I want to actually sort them. I can quickly click this icon to sort. Some products are growing sales since last year for this particular customer, but at the bottom I have all the products that are driving the major decline. And maybe you want to go down and want to see in detail. I want to see the invoices, the numbers, the quantities. You can pick a few products. I'm going to pick the top 3 by sales decline. And I tell the tool, show me the details. So right now I was looking at the trend analysis at the year level. And when I click show details, it shows me the actual invoice details. Every single detail from invoice can be put on this bottom section, like an Excel file. And if you export this section to Excel, in a couple of clicks, I can say export to Excel. You get an Excel file, and now if you want to, manipulate outside of DataSelf, you can also do it. So, like Don said, the ability to look at some trends at the top level, slice and dice it, and eventually go to the most detailed level is something that ERP systems usually don't provide, and a solution like DataSelf really excels at. I'm also going to show quickly the cash flow projection. Sorry, that to me is, as I mentioned, it's a way to combine, inbound money, outbound money that is already in your payables and receivables. Out of the box, we also take your payroll from the last few months, and we project into the future, because usually people have a payroll that is fairly stable when it comes to expenses. And then we can also plug some more data points, recurring expenses, recurring revenues. People have sometimes in Excel files some numbers that will be affecting the cash flow. And again, the cash flow, to me, the biggest value is helping the CFO, the controller, to be more in close contact with the rest of the business to help everyone to understand how the business cash flow affect their efficiency, and be sure everyone understands their impact in the cash flow, and hopefully address issues before they hit the bank problem in a way. Now, something that Don mentioned, which to me is also amazingly empowering, is that most business users, or many business users, they're not necessarily technology savvy. They are very good at whatever they do, selling, building, client relationship. And sometimes when they need a new report or a new piece of information from your data silos, they just don't have time to learn how to use the reporting tool. So they have to ask someone else, can you please put together this kind of information? And when you ask someone else for this kind of information, well, you gotta wait. If you have a problem right now and you need the answer right now, most likely you are not gonna get it, because you gotta ask someone else. This problem in many instances can be solved with DataSelf with the natural language query functionality. And like Don said, is similar to when you go to the internet and you use Google or Bing and you ask a question in plain English, and in the internet you get an article, articles. With DataSelf, you get an actual report. So the only requirement to use this functionality is having middle school level. If you have your users going through middle school, they are equipped to build their own reports. Let me show some example. Right now, I'm looking at the natural language query functionality. I'm looking at the sales part of it, and let's say I'm a VP of sales, and I want to see sales by salesperson in 2021. I just wrote in plain English, and as you can tell, the tool is putting together what it understood for my question. I press enter, and magic happens. It's not magic, it's technology. There is artificial intelligence, machine learning behind the scenes, understanding what the human wrote, what data is available, and if it finds a match, if the computer understands a question and finds a match in your data, it will give you an instant and accurate answer to your question. So right there, by salesperson in 2021, I see sales. What if I want to break down by month? You type by month. The tool will make sense. It added some components, you press enter, and now it converted for every salesperson. There is a line showing by month the total sales. And maybe, you want to see numbers by the penny. You don't want to see charts. Some people are chart driven, some people are number driven. Pretty much the tool gives you control to choose different graphical representations. In this case, I want to see just a tax table. And now that report becomes a tax table. And again, you can quickly, in a few clicks, export to Excel in case you want to. This part of the solution, the natural language query, is not a magic wand. It will not answer like all questions. It's just like Google. If it has an answer, you ask the question correctly, you get the answer. And it's amazing how many times business users, those people who don't have time to learn complex reporting technology, but that they have at least middle school, probably most, they have a lot more than middle school, but they can come here, ask the questions, and get the instant accurate answers by themselves. Is giving them the power to make more informed decisions anytime, anywhere, and therefore moving the business forward more quickly. So very, very empowering. It's amazing functionality. Many of the dashboards that we showed before, like the year over year, you cannot build a sophisticated dashboard like this using natural language. Not yet. Sometime maybe in the future. But it's amazing how many questions that people can answer using natural language on the flight, on their mobile devices, and that's the power of this part of the solution. The last thing I'm going to show is how can a more sophisticated user, someone that has a little bit more training, can actually build and modify and customize dashboards like this other that we're showing. For that functionality, then we use the report editor. The report editor that I'm showing right now is a web report editor, meaning anywhere that you have internet access, a user with a little bit of training will be able to build sophisticated reports in a fairly straightforward manner. Let me show an example. Right now I'm looking at sales information, and suppose I want to see sales by customer by year. Pretty much what I need to do is find my data points in the left panel. So I want to find customers right here, put in my rows. So these are all my customers. I want to see sales, which is right here. I drag and drop into my report, just drag and drop. So this is the total sales by customer in the whole company history. Well, I want to see by year. Well, you need then the invoice date. It's right here. Drag and put in my columns. And right there, no matter how much data you have in the database, this runs in seconds. It's really, really fast. So by customer, I see sales by year. Hey, I don't care about all the years. I only care about, let's say, the past 2 years. Sure, you can tell to any of these data points to be a filter. So you're only going to be able to see part of the data points. In this case, I want to see only the last 2 years. And there it is. Now the report shows by customer sales in the last 2 years. This tool that I'm showing right now is very powerful, is drag and drop. About 80% of the custom reporting needs of the average company is just a drag and drop away. If I want to see sales by customer by product, you find product and you drag into the report. And there it is, by customer, by item, I see sales. Very empowering. The other 20% of the custom report needs are more sophisticated and require more training, but we have many users in our client base, company presidents, CEOs, CFOs, that they saw a demo like this, and they were able to build a bunch of reports, not only with natural language query that I showed before, but with drag and drop. If you can feel comfortable with drag and drop, you can do a lot of reports yourself without having to call someone else. And that's the power of DataSelf, empowering smart decision makers to make more informed decisions anytime, anywhere, without calling someone else. And with that, I wrap my part. Back to you, Don.
Thanks very much, Johnny. If you can transfer the presentation rights over to me, I'll finish up with just a couple of slides and leave time for Q&A. So thank you very much. And let's go into a few final comments. So you've seen DataSelf, and I think it's very important to mention that DataSelf is kind of like Switzerland in that we work with everyone and every solution out there. So whether you're a Sage Shop, Acumatica, NetSuite, et cetera, the list goes on. DataSelf works with those solutions, comes with pre-configured libraries of reports and dashboards that you can choose from. What I also want to finish up by saying is, okay, you've seen an analytics solution, you see how it works, you see some of the various reports and dashboards that come with DataSelf, but it does leave you with one question, or at least one question, which is, well, what makes DataSelf better for analytics than other analytical or BI solutions? And it really comes down to three things. If you look at most analytics solutions, some are very easy to use, some are very powerful, and some boast a fairly quick implementation. But you'll find that there's only one solution that incorporates all three of those qualities, and that's DataSelf. As I mentioned, with our proprietary ETL Plus technology and the top-rated BI technologies embedded within DataSelf, it is super easy to use. You saw Johnny use the natural language querying. You saw him create a new report literally within seconds. But from a power perspective, courtesy of a Microsoft SQL Server data warehouse and other proprietary technologies, the average DataSelf report is generated in just a matter of a few seconds. You're not left waiting hours to get results that you need now. And that includes analyzing information within individual applications or between applications. DataSelf is truly an enterprise level BI technology. And finally, there is that sub 24-hour up and running time, courtesy of that library of 8,000 plus reports and dashboards, and the 15 plus years of expertise that DataSelf and our services and implementation staff provide. Again, try out DataSelf for yourself and you'll see within 24 hours, the application is not only installed and up and running, but it is providing you with meaningful business insight. Now, the one last topic that we haven't addressed is licensing and pricing. I'm going to leave that to your SWK account manager to discuss with you. However, let me leave you with this one last fact, and that is that DataSelf Analytics has the fastest return on investment of any analytics solution available on the market today. Try it for yourself and you'll see that ROI. So with that, I know we wanted to leave about 10 or so minutes for Q&A. So Courtney, let me invite you back into this conversation, and Johnny and or I will do our best to answer any questions that have come in.
Thank you so much, Johnny and Don. That was a great presentation with a lot of information about what DataSelf can do to help everyone's business. We do have a couple questions that have come in, so I'll go ahead and get us started on the Q&A. And if you're in the audience and you have a question that you haven't sent in yet, please feel free to put that in the questions section of your GoToWebinar or in the chat section, and we will get that question asked for you. So Don and Johnny, our first question is, does DataSelf offer any training? And if so, what does that process look like?
All right, I can take that one. Absolutely. To me, one of the most important things of our journey is to assist clients in making more informed decisions at their own pace, meaning the DataSelf solution comes with a lot of functionality, a lot of reports and dashboards, and some clients can be completely independent. We want to learn DataSelf and want to just run with it. I love those because those are the kind of data geeks like we are, and we just provide as much training as needed. Some clients say, hey, we don't have time to learn, we just want to gather insights. Just give us the water, like Don said, give us the reports and dashboards, and we make more informed decisions. And if we need to customize, we call you guys. So those clients, we just become like, an extension of their business analysts to support them. Anyhow, from a training standpoint, there are different ways we can provide training. We have in our documentation self-training materials. So those people who like to go to training, just reading, knowledge-based articles, training videos, there's a lot of materials for those self-taught kind of people. Many of our clients, they go through our monthly classes online that are in person, 8 hours training. Will teach most users to be fairly self-sufficient when it comes to report design in DataSelf. And we also have some clients that also like to do data warehousing, SQL Server, data manipulation, things behind the scenes. And those clients, usually they already have people that know more, SQL Server technology, and then the training becomes one-on-one. Anyhow, just reviewing again, we have clients that are completely self-sufficient just by going through self-taught documentation. The most popular training we offer is an 8-hour report design course. In some clients, we give very close one-on-one training as much as needed.
And Johnny, I'd just like to add to that is the fact that over 90% of DataSelf clients are using DataSelf without any auxiliary training services, meaning that they're very happy with choosing their reports and dashboards from the library that we offer. If they want to add a column of data, if they want to change their selection criteria, change the output format of a report, all that is self-evident in the application. So although customization services are certainly available for the average client, just what DataSelf comes with out of the box is sufficient. So just wanted to add that. Do we have any other questions, Courtney?
Yes, we have another question. So in our audience, I'd like to know, does DataSelf do what-if situations, or does it only pull data from your ERP or other solutions? For example, what if sales increased from a new product?
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that Don was talking at the beginning of the PowerPoint, but we didn't have enough time to show many of the features. Projection, forecasting is a big part of the analytics technology, and I would encourage you that want to learn exactly how we can help to have a one-on-one call, because usually when it comes to what-if scenarios, there's so many ways you can go with what-if questions, and there's so many ways the analytics solution can be customized to fulfill those needs that typically, I would say there's a one-on-one discussion to see your specific needs and how we can help. But absolutely, one of the PowerPoints that Don showed was in the inventory planning component. In the inventory planning component, one of the feeds into that template is sales projection. In the sales projection, it's a very customizable data point. Many organizations, they look at their past sales and then they apply some adjustment. I'm going to be growing by 5%, but not in this territory, but not in that particular product line. And then there is an algorithm that we can configure to do projection based on the parameters that you're entering. But absolutely, what if projections is part of the analytics framework.
And I love that, Johnny. I really do. That is my favorite example, I think, of all, which is if sales increases, am I still going to have the products to be able to fulfill those orders? To me, that is such a key aspect of projection. So you and I are like mind in terms of that favorite. All right, Courtney, anything else?
Okay, unless there's any other submissions, our last question is going to be, can users run DataSelf reports in Excel?
Johnny, all yours.
Absolutely. Excel is, especially in finance departments, they love and breathe Excel. So yes, DataSelf, even though we are very invested in using Tableau and Power BI, which are usually easier to use, easier to analyze reports and trends, but for those folks, no matter where you are in sales, in inventory planning, and you love to use Excel as a reporting tool, we absolutely support and make your life much easier by doing that. A lot of the data crunching, all of that kind of data manipulation that so many people do in Excel, we can automate the process so you can focus more time in analyzing your Excel data and less time, putting it together and running the macros and all of those headaches that Excel can cause if you're doing things manually in Excel.
And Courtney, I'm going to finish with one last comment. I've mentioned a couple times that folks can try out DataSelf Analytics for free via our evaluation software. That actually takes a couple different forms. If someone would like to simply play with the DataSelf Analytics tools, basically logging into what Johnny was showing earlier, put in your own numbers and see what those reports and dashboards look like. We can provide you with access to that. But even beyond that, if you want to try out DataSelf with your own ERP data, be it Sage 100, Acumatica, whomever, no problem. We can also set you up to try it out with your own live ERP data and actually see some of the insight that DataSelf delivers. So just let your SWK account manager know, and they'll work to get that set up for you. So, Courtney, back to you.
Thank you, Don. And just like Don said, if you'd like to take advantage of trying out DataSelf, especially with your own data, just let your SWK rep know. We'll work with DataSelf to get that set up and let you see the software for yourself. And I'd like to thank everyone for your questions. I think that is the last question we had. So again, thank you so much, Johnny and Don, for a great presentation and for taking the time to be with us today. And I'd also like to thank everyone in the audience for attending this webinar, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
It was a great pleasure. Thank you, everyone.